The soft look was nice, but something happened throughout our shoot that made the image look so much better. And that was that we're in Amsterdam and I haven't slept since 2 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't. This stupid jet lag. I ended up taking like a, there's my alarm. Literally, I was supposed to be waking up right now. Whatever. I wanted to make this video for you guys so you can see behind the scenes look on a travel light setup. It's relatively compact, but we didn't want to go for that for this lighting scenario. We wanted to have the best lights possible. We know we're going to be battling sunlight, and I wanted to give you guys as much value as possible, whether that's business tips or it's just cinematography and lighting in general. Also, check out my Peruvian brother just hanging out on the wall. It's crazy because I'm Peruvian and I walked in my room. They have like different cultures hanging out on the wall, and it just so happens that I got the Peruvian, which is really cool. Also, check your boy out. The location is actually so nice. So let's just get straight into it. So I'm gonna take you through all the gear that we're bringing, the cameras, lights, all that stuff. But I really wanna talk about using your environment to your advantage. Like for example, this lighting scenario, obviously it's not the nicest thing. I'm literally using this like desk thing that they have to, I don't know, study. You could like read a book. It's like a lamp thing. But there are certain techniques that you can use to make your interviews just look better, especially when you don't have control. Since I'm traveling internationally, I had no idea where we were gonna film. We didn't have this whole pre-production model. It's a longer story, but we ended up going to the restaurant in this hotel, and everything in this restaurant looked so beautiful. There's plants everywhere, lights, skyline. It was incredible. It is a dinner only place, so we asked if before the crew gets there, all that around 1 p.m. if we could come and film. They said yes. So using your environment to your advantage is one of the best things that you can possibly do, especially when you're traveling internationally, because you just can't bring all the lights in the world. For example, this lighting setup, I didn't set up any of this stuff. It just so happens that these rooms look really cool, but we have practicals in the background. I'm shooting towards the corner. I don't even know if this looks that good, but it just, you could see the skyline, even the reflection of the light that's on the other side of me. It just creates all this texture. It might be distracting, I have no idea. But for just setting up this quick impromptu thing, it looks way better than if I were to just point at this wall and say, hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Listen to me talk about lighting and teach you guys how to make cool images, even though I suck at them, which happens a lot on YouTube, unfortunately. But anyway, so there are just certain things, and you'll see it on the day of when we're actually filming all of it play out. The angles that we choose, all these different things. Now let's get into gear, because this is really exciting. I should probably start with camera. It's gonna be a 2-camera setup. I'm gonna be filming with the Blazar Remus lenses. I'm gonna have a 50 and 85. Here we have the main key, which is the B500. Have the gobo that it's gonna be used with the G300. Gonna blast some texture, even though this room has so much texture, it's crazy. This is gonna be our hair light slash, I don't know what the heck light. We're gonna use it for whatever. It's like June's tube light. Haven't used it yet, but I figured I would try it now. Then we have an X100 if we want to just flood some light anywhere else. And here we have boom poles. You know what? I think I'm gonna bring each piece because this is kind of annoying trying to grab it. And I'm sure it's not the most enjoyable thing in the world, just having the camera move all over the place. So there was a 41-inch umbrella. And then this is actually really interesting. This is a makeshift boom pole that I kind of tore up. So it was an old Benro monopod that I had. I took off the feet, I took off all those different things. Because it's so small and super lightweight, I can extend it a good amount. It's not the biggest extending monopod in the world. But I ended up taking off the top, putting a spigot, and then this is where my mic goes with like just any generic mic holder. I always bring extension cords, and I don't know what these are. I forgot what they're called, because these are more than just extension cords. They just have multiple outlets. Power strips. I bring power strips with me because I want to have everything centralized. I don't want to have to plug it into multiple different outlets. Just have everything together. I don't run my audio externally. I do record it externally as well, but I like running it direct into camera. So I have this Panasonic XLR module that just goes on top. so I can have XLR audio on all of my Lumix cameras, because Lumix cameras are super tiny. Again, trying to keep it as compact as possible. I didn't want to bring all this stuff overseas, lose things. I didn't want to deal with that stuff. So for monitoring, I have the HoloLens Pyro 7, which has been a very good monitor as a standalone monitor, but this lets me transmit my signal wirelessly to an iPad so the client can see the interview footage easily. I don't have to have another whole unit. I just transfer it here. It has some latency, but I don't care. I just want them to see the image. I don't want to have to set up more stuff or bring more gear, which the same common thread throughout this whole thing. I'm getting a little bored talking about all this gear. This is the last thing I'm gonna talk about. There's more gear. Maybe I'll talk about it later. If you guys are interested, say, yeah, talk about the gear more. But I don't think you're that interested in the gear. And it's boring me. So if it's boring me, it's probably boring you. This is the MKH50, the best mic, shotgun, whatever mic. It's not even technically a shotgun. It's like a pencil condenser microphone. This is the best microphone I've ever used. Really expensive, but it sounds really good. And it works better for indoor interviews. Oftentimes people use huge shotgun mics. They use the Sennheiser MK, whatever, what is it, 600? They just use the one that everybody else uses, but it's indoors and usually in places that aren't sound treated, so the sound is just not as good. Pencil condensers, they really cancel out a lot of sound. They're very, very directional. So, okay, this, I lied. There's one more piece of gear that was probably the most cumbersome part of this whole thing. It's stands, stupid stands, which are some of the most important parts of a lighting setup. It'll make or break it, but they're so annoying. They're so annoying to travel with on an airplane. I have these compact impact, they like stackable things. By the way, everything's gonna be linked in the description. I do make money, but also I appreciate when everything's just there. If I wanna buy something, I can easily find it. These stands are really good. Obviously they get super compact. They don't weigh that much, but I can't put my main key on that flimsy little stand. I could put maybe a tiny light or something. I have put a key light on there, and just don't tell anybody. That was kind of dangerous. But I found these in my garage. I don't even know what they are. I just had them, but they're actually really cool. And they're very, very sturdy. I don't know if I could do this on video. You see how wide that footprint is? This is incredibly more stable than these. So I ended up bringing two of these. I could use for my key light and my boom pole, because I just needed to be a little bit more sturdy and not fall on my client's face. So that's enough of gear. I'm done. I'm done talking about gear. I'll see you guys when we're actually filming the interview, and holy smokes. All right, I gotta meet them for breakfast, so I'm gonna go.
3 days later.
This place is actually crazy. So right now I'm just running around with the camera to actually get our framing before we start setting up lights, setting up anything. I want to make sure that I have the best framing possible, the best location. Right now Michael is sitting as the test subject. We're going to use whatever window on the side as motivated light. So we're going to place a light right there. And I'm trying to keep the camera on the shadow side. As you can see, even this looks really cool. But we're just trying to find the right framing. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh, that looks, bro, that actually looks so sick. Now we are trying to get specific lights in the restaurant on or off, which is a huge deal. Whenever you can utilize the lights in your space, I would have to like set up all these lights to even remotely get this kind of look, and it's crazy because they have like access to those, the backlights, all that, which inherently creates texture in the background. I won't even have to set up lights over there. So it's really cool. Really, really cool. So we found our location. We're gonna be shooting in this direction. Whenever I get to location, I try and find just my area to put stuff in and make sure I'm not in the way of whatever's happening. There's all of our gear for the day, and we're gonna get to setting up and making sure this looks as cool as possible. We have this window here. That's gonna be our motivated light source, because there's windows all around the building, so it'll make sense when we're shooting. I'm thinking about taking the exact angle of the window to place my light. Obviously I might divert from it a little bit, but our biggest thing is gonna be creating shadows because there's so much light in this place. Might have to use some like negative fill and stuff, which I'm assuming you know, but if you don't know, that's just like a black reflector or black anything just to create more shadows. for angles because I usually do get asked this. I try and get pretty high and facing downwards. That's probably a reaction because I'm used to filming myself with glasses. So that's usually how you avoid reflections. You get as high as possible and down. And it also covers up some double chin stuff because you get a nice shadow underneath the chin. You don't want to go too much because then you get raccoon eyes, but seems good enough. It's not going nowhere because of these really wide base leg light stands, which I'm sure they have like better ones than this, but I found these. These are just sick, dude. Like, that's crazy. That's so cool. This is a really cool, so you won't have to have like a knuckle and a whole thing. It's like all in one. It goes straight on the light stand and holds your bowl, which is obviously less gear, is a lot better for international travel, even national travel. Here are my two angles. I have the Blazar Remus 50 and the Blazar Remus 85. We got the levels in the room to be where we want them to be. And by we, I mean me. And the sun, oh my gosh, the sun, it's cool, but it's also not cool. The sun is starting to peek through the clouds, which always looks nice, but then we have to have control of that, which we don't. So I'm trying to, just what happens when you film with a lot of windows. So I'll figure it out. So audio, both cameras. I'll put the monitors so we can have wireless transmission, and then it should be good. I am still gonna put up the gobo. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm gonna have the tree one because there's tons of greenery here. Also, it's the little things, like one of the plants in the background was kind of dying. That one over there. Background had like tons of yellow leaves, so I took them out. Just be mindful as much as you can of like your location. Obviously, I asked for permission to do that, but yeah. Looking like it's good. So we weren't able to film BTS for the rest of the shoot, and that's just because I'm just doing my job. We're international. We didn't have someone filming BTS. But I did want to use the rest of this video to talk about certain things that I wasn't able to cover. I didn't want to just do a voiceover. And there were a couple things that I learned that I actually cut out of the BTS because I said something completely differently with hard and soft light and certain things that the environment actually did that really helped us and made the image look miles better. And interestingly enough, after the shoot, I did end up looking into these things, and it just so happens that Skillshare has information on the things that I'm going to talk about, which is cinematography, lighting, hard lighting, soft lighting. Skillshare is not just a database, but a community of talented individuals that are literally giving you teaching to further your education. And if you're watching this video, that means you actually care about the business side and not just the creative. So if you are interested in joining one of the fastest online learning communities, links are down below, and let's get right back to the video. So it's really interesting. We were in Amsterdam, and I don't know the weather. I don't know how these things play out. Apparently it's very volatile. It could snow 1 second and the sun pops out. And that's actually exactly what happened. So I had the June tube light as a hair light, and I really wanted it to be soft because in my head, it just made more sense. This was luxury. I even mentioned it in the BTS. I want it to be soft. Usually I have a hard hair light, but this is luxurious. So I want it to be soft. This is a luxurious location. Turns out I was wrong because the soft look, yeah, looked nice, but something happened throughout our shoot that was chef's kiss. It made the image look so much better, in my opinion. And that was that it started to snow. So I exposed everything for the snow. It was kind of like a natural softbox for the sun, which is a little crazy, but all the windows were just white because it was snowing. And then halfway through our shoot, which you'll see on the B-roll right now, the sun drops down because it's a time of day. And that's normally something I account for, but I thought it was gonna be cloudy the entire day. But all the clouds just part, and the sun peeks through the clouds and literally shoots straight into my lens, which creates this beautiful lens flare. But more than the lens flare, it was the fact that I had this beautiful hair light, rim light around my subject that honestly, if I were to redo the shoot, I would just mimic that. I would do exactly that. We were on the 24th floor, so I wouldn't be able to do this exactly. But if I could have a 600 watt light, which I'm not gonna bring overseas, I would literally shine that from all the way in the back of the restaurant and act as the sun. which would be so much better. We would have been able to control it. We would have shot earlier, and that just would have been our sun. It would have created all these hard streaks that the actual sun created, and that was all by accident. So it was just a happy, perfect accident. But that was something that I learned on this shoot. Everything else went pretty smoothly. Something that was really interesting is I set up all of my lights before I even turned my camera on. And it was pretty accurate. So it's one thing I've been noticing on my shoots, that my lights are most of the time in the same exact spot. And then I'm just tweaking, making sure I have the right contrast ratios. So if I want it a little bit more moody, I'll put it more to the side. For this shoot, I literally mimicked the window. It gave us the perfect amount of shadow that I wanted. It was really interesting. And I think the main reason why this shoot went well was because the location was amazing and they had lights. But this is one thing that I definitely see a lot of videographers not do, and that is have the courage and audacity to ask these locations if you can tweak certain lights, especially if you have it rented out, or if you spoke to the owner and you said, hey, can I shoot here? Just ask if you can play with the levels in the room. There was this weird, ugly overhead light that was right on his forehead. We set up everything perfectly, but then when I reviewed the monitor just to make sure everything was spotless, there wasn't any crap happening, there was this weird yellow spotlight on his head, and that was because there was an overhead light. So if I didn't ask, if I didn't go through the effort of doing that, then I would have had an ugly yellow spotlight, or I would have had to move the entire setup somewhere else, and that would have cut way into our time. We were already over time. So yeah, make sure you utilize your environment to your best ability. That's why I started this video with that tip, and I'm ending it with that, because if you didn't learn anything from the entire video, hopefully you were entertained. But if you didn't learn anything from the video, I hope you take away this one thing, and that is utilize your environment, especially if you're traveling overseas, because you don't have control of a lot of things. And yeah, that was a fun one. That was my experience overseas. If you liked any of the color grades in this video, everything was graded using Phantom LUTs, and they're linked down below. All the gear is also linked in the description. I do get a kickback, so thank you if you do use those links. And don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment down below if you have any questions, if I missed something, or if you disagree with me. I'd love to have a discussion with you. And with all that being said, that is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.